last night, the voters in Bowman's district, and the votes are still coming in, but with 84% of the votes in, it's about a 60-40 loss. So 60% of Democrat voters. And let me tell you, that would be a lot of those voters in the Bronx all the way into Westchester County, so very different demographics.
Well, if you saw the videos of like AOC dancing and sort of that whole thing that happened, that was his event, trying to rally people up at the last minute, and it failed massively. And it failed massively to a candidate, like you said, probably not going to agree on most issues, being a Democrat, but this is the Democrat primary, but someone who the Jewish community and the pro-Israel community had gotten behind, which actually shows a bit of hope of what's happening in New York and around the country that may be what we're being fed in terms of the anti-Zionist, anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel rhetoric is just that, rhetoric from a small group of loud people. And when actually you get to New Yorkers or you get to people around the country, they're going to stand up for the ones who they know are doing the right thing.
Listen, I mean, let's start with him screaming on stage. We had to bleep some of this out.
Yeah.
And what I love about these rallies are these are rallies that they say, bring everybody to. And remember, the average voter in a lot of these districts is 60 plus years old. Remember, that's still the case. So this kind of language
does not go over.
Doesn't go over well, and this kind of attitude.
The language may in New York because they don't care, but the attitude, the whole attitude, the chaos of it.
The nastiness of this guy jumping around. I mean, we wish for all of you who are listening, you could see this with us, but I think you can imagine this is not a guy standing at a podium doing this. He is all over the stage like he is about to punch someone in the face. Take a listen and watch.
The hip-hop congressman. People ask me why I got a foul mouth. What am I supposed to do? You coming after me. You coming after my family. You coming after my children. I'm not supposed to fight back. I'm not supposed to fight back. We're going to show them who the we are. Let me get the guns out again one more time.
This was a full-blown breakdown.
Full breakdown. Yeah.
This is a full-blown breakdown.
That's like conspiratorial. They're coming after my family. They have to be. Now, listen, you get in politics, you're going to have horrible things written about you. It doesn't matter what you are.
It will break you.
Now, when he said take the guns out, thankfully, if you were just listening to that, he was talking about his own arms.
Yes.
And he's a hip-hop congressman. Well, he will be the hip-hop congressman for a few more months, and then he will be unemployed.
Yeah, they'll put that as his Chiron. The hip-hop congressman.
But he had something to say. The hip-hop Jew-hating congressman.
And that's what we got here. We had sort of the next bite, right?
So this is after he found. So that was before he lost.
This was he lost. This was his
concession
speech, correct? Just make sure that's right. All right. So this was his concession speech last night. Who's he going to blame? Of course, there's only one category of people you got to blame.
We should be outraged when a super PAC of dark money can spend $20 million to brainwash people into believing something that isn't true. Even though AIPAC and their affiliates, don't boo, I know we want to boo them. Don't boo. Boo!
I don't think AIPAC or anybody who was pro-Israel it was hard to figure out that they were not going to be supportive of this guy. They're going to target every one of these Democrats that they can, especially if they're in a district
and if there's
where they
ever
believe,
a year when the Jewish organizations are going to get involved,
this is it.
This is it.
When your back's up against the wall,
right.
When you know the world, when you see these protests that we've seen. But what I think it is a side, Logan, that when normal people, and again, I'm talking most of the voters there will be Democrat,
it's
the
New
Democrat
York.
district. But I'm saying normal people who are not ideologues, they don't hate other countries. If they have no reason to, if they haven't attacked the United States, they don't hate our allies like Israel. They're not anti-Semitic. They see these representatives, and they came out in droves in a primary to unseat an incumbent. These are not easy things to do politically. But when you lose 60-40, he ignored his community, and he was only representing the squad and the anti-Israel wing of the Democrat Party, which felt like it has been growing. But if we can show that they can be defeated and almost silenced in a way, because when you take away him as a congressman, he loses his whole platform. And that's one less squad member. So you see, I mean, I do think they're not all vulnerable in every district. But in the districts that they are, you will see more and more Democrats. That's why Joe Biden's going to have to walk a very fine line. I mean, and between am I arming Israel but not arming Israel? And how am I going to do
their hat on this. I mean, here's AOC at the rally. I mean, what are they hanging their hat on specifically? Anti-Israel. I mean, that is the key topic they thought was going to take them over the top.
Not about the community. Not about like getting better funding to the community in the Bronx or to building schools or education or better jobs, because
they don't
care about that.
Let's take a listen. This is AOC.
Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to take this borough back? Are you ready to win our state back? Are you ready to win this country back? And are you ready to fight for peace on earth and peace fucking in Gaza? Yes, I am.
She's ready to say, are you taking the state back? Who are we taking the state back from? The Zionists.
Jews.
Yeah.
The idea is that it doesn't work everywhere, thank God. It's a good sign that we can defeat, and the Democrats can do this internally too, to kind of squelch the voice as much as possible. But we have seen Joe Biden walking a fine line, because while it might not be 60% of the vote yet, it is still getting 40%. And when you're trying to run for president in a very tight election, and you see that Jamaal Bowman still got 40% in that district, and you're Joe Biden and his political team, you're trying to see, how do we keep that other 40% still voting for us? And you do that by saying, well, we're going to send you weapons, but we're going to slow it down based off what your actions are. So if you go into if we're going to tell you how you can use the weapons, which is not really how. I feel like we haven't done that with Ukraine so much. I mean, I feel like we dumped over all these weapons, and that's still going on, and we don't even have like an end game there. In Israel, they said, provide us what we need, and this will be over quicker.
That was not a small margin of victory. More people are seeing the insanity of these people who call themselves progressives, but who do not represent any kind of progress towards the values that we cherish and hold dear in our country. It's going to be, I think it's another indicator of how unprecedented this whole election year is.
I do think on certain issues, the American people are still pretty united. And when it comes to who our allies are in the world, and anti-Semitism, that people don't for the most part support racism in any form. And people also don't like attacking one of our allies. And they all saw what happened on October 7th. They saw the brutality. So they understand the response. Not that war is perfect. It's horrible, but Israel was put in a place where it had to respond. There's still 150 hostages there. So again, what it shows is that if you are willing to put the resources behind it and kind of take your politics out for a moment, you can knock out some of these dangerous extremists from Congress so they don't have a voice as a U.S. representative when they travel the world too.